Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Witchy Talk. We are at episode 9. We have arrived to the number 9 here in Witchy Talk, which is this beautiful number of completion and transition and flowing through growth, evolution, expansion, and through this ability to transition through these different cycles that we have got going on. And so, yeah, today on Witchy Talk, we are flowing into this growth and expansion. Back in one of the episodes, our Witches New Year episode, we both had some intentions that we stated, Sophia and I, at the end, and one of ours was growth and expansion, and the other was receiving and allowing, and we both connected into each other's as well. And we can't remember whose was whose now because they both were like, yeah, that feels so good. Yeah, that feels so good. So yeah, we've just been feeling into this beautiful dynamic of these two aspects that seem to really beautifully complement each other as well. So I'm here with Sophia tonight again, of course, for Witchy Talk. And yeah, we're just going to flow with it and roll with it and yeah, talk about some interesting topics and yeah, flow from there. Yeah. Yeah. So
Heck
welcome,
yeah,
Sophia.
cheers cheers, man. I'm hitting the stash tonight. It's kind of interesting because it's been a while since I've been back in this space and we've connected. And I had two tea bags sitting on my shelf, which are my absolute favorite stash tea, chai tea. And so it's kind of like I work up to the flow. One is caffeinated, so
Mm.
it's my double spice chai, and just unwinding this midnight hour with my decaf chai, which is a golden turmeric chai. And so it's kind of like they were just sitting here waiting for me to pour a
Mm.
cup of tea and sit down with my friend Nicola. So from the AZ to the NZ, sending lots of love tonight to this space and to this place, and everyone welcome and thank you for joining us. And yeah, growth and expansion. We're here, episode number 9, and so I can say I'm really excited to see how we've grown and expanded our hearts and our minds to bring us here to this space and this place. And the number 9 is very significant for that. I don't know if you can still see me here.
Mhm.
Um,
Good.
but in numerology, the number 9 is considered powerful. It represents completion, but not necessarily a finality, meaning rather a fulfillment of one cycle to prepare for the next is what I read, and I think that just hits it right on it.
Mm.
Um, so I'm excited as we continue through the journey, and yeah, it's been great. And I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and you also had mentioned the significance of the planet Mars
9
with the number
represents the planet
9.
Mars. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of Mars energy coming through as well. It's just kind of, I'm gleaming because it's just showing up all over.
Mm-mm.
We had the pleasure of getting together for a tarot talk, which we've moved into the Emperor,
Mhm.
which also is planet is Mars.
Mhm. Yeah, has that significance as well. And it all just flows in together perfectly on that same, the same day and the same, those alignments that really come in and just really affirm that, hey, look at all these things that you're planning and doing, and that the correspondences between them all just really line up. So it's a really beautiful synchronicity. And yeah, but to not go searching for that, just to kind of notice, I was like, oh, what episode are we up to? And, added that in. And so, yeah. And we hadn't looked up the significance of the other numbers of the episodes that we've done, it was just this one we happened to decide to look up and speak about, and then really notice that those other synchronicities flow in from tarot talks and the alignment with that. So yeah, it's just yeah, sometimes you can't make it up.
Pretty bloody amazing. And I think too, I think we're in the year 9
Yeah.
as well.
The 9 year. It is. It's a big year for completion this year. There's a lot of astrological aspects. I'm not a expert in that, but all the things that I've been watching and listening to is such a big year for a lot of things to complete or to come up and be released to the surface and ready to alchemize and ready to release and let go. And if we can like harness that and move through it, that 9 year, like you say, it's like it's a completion, but it's a fulfillment of that one cycle, and in order to propel us into that next one. So yeah, what are those aspects that we can let go of? How can we be in more alignment, with our heart, essentially, rather than anything else, or just with what we're here to do, rather than feeling into anything massive and esoteric that's outside of us. It's like, well, what am I just actually here to do, and what makes me happy, and what brings me joy, and then just following that.
I do know. That's beautiful. And that's the wave I've been riding, man, is tuning into that. Which is really interesting, the different aspects and how the universe has connected us in this time and space here now, crossing those barriers of time and space to connect.
Mm,
And I think that in itself is beautiful. And, the aspect too of going inward so we can, go outward and, outward without bounds, that whole introspection aspect of,
mm,
you know, receiving and allowing growth and expansion, that duality as well, the
mm,
duality and the significance of, here I am, we're going into our summer months where everybody's out, so it's the outward, and you guys are moving into winter, right?
mm.
So it's the inward.
Yeah.
And and so there's a lot, the whole mirror effect of that as well,
Mm,
which is, it's been beautiful.
mm,
That's truly where it's at, is when you can plug in,
mm,
when you can plug into that core. For me, is plugging into my core as to what I'm passionate about, so I can, you know, um, perceive and paint what I want to see, painting
mm.
those pictures of what my reality will be, right?
Yeah.
So I can grow outwards without bounds, and do what moves me,
Mm.
and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the progression of like one foot in front of the other, like one small action every day. Like, if you don't do anything for a month, and then one week you have hardcore action and you do heaps of stuff, and then you go back to not doing anything, like it all counteracts each other. You're not going to get anywhere. If there's like small steps and increments every day, that's going to build up over time, even if you feel like you're not getting anywhere. I heard something today, and it was saying, if you think that you haven't come very far, feel into where you were a year ago or 2 years ago, and would you trade places with that person? And if it's a hell no, then you've evolved and you've come further than you think. So, in terms of perspective and thought processes, in terms of, where you are as a human, or, what you've created, then yeah. And I was like, even though I'm still in the same place, I have a different job and I'm doing different things. I wouldn't trade places with me from last year. No, exactly. So really depends on some different aspects, but it's a good way to view that. Yeah, have that retrospect, I guess. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm,
Yeah. Retrospect and introspect as well, that
mm,
introspection and going in. We were kind of reflecting on this earlier with our tarot talk, by the way. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's been pretty rad. A lot of cool stuff coming up in that.
okay.
And going inward, right? And for me, it's been realizing that, I have this deep need and desire to connect, right?
Mm,
To build connections and build the community, and leave a positive impact,
mm,
on, this substation Earth. I'm here now, and
mm,
everything is in its time and its place. And I firmly believe that, and I know that from the journey that,
mm,
even during those rough patches, so to say, everything has a way of coming
Mm,
full circle and
mm,
bringing you right back to where you're supposed to be.
mm,
And I'm reminded of that. And by going in and allowing ourselves to connect to, right back to us, right back to ourselves, that soul wisdom, the before the disconnect, right before the bullshit, I like to say, before all the outside factors, and really getting back to the core of who you are and
mm,
feeding that,
mm,
stoking that fire. We're in the element of fire here. We just celebrated Beltane, so it was a big fire festival, and I was able to have a little fire. I took a drive up to the Grand Canyon, which is totally, utterly grand in the
mm,
sense of I can't even begin to put it in words. It's definitely one of those things. It's a wonder of the world. You
mm.
stand there and you're like, I'm just speechless, which rarely happens for me. There's not a lot of things that can leave me speechless, but the Grand Canyon, who would know, is one of those. And
Yeah.
so, so I'm making a practice of going there as much as I can to just quiet the mind and quiet myself
Yeah.
and go in and
Mm,
go in and
mm.
just take it all in. And it's so big and it's so wide. I've been there. I think this is my 10th visit in the last
Whoa.
year because I just can't get enough.
It's so
It's
vast.
fucking beautiful.
It's so
So
vast.
vast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just layers and layers and depth, and I mean, each time has been something different, and so it's kind of just like I'm gonna roll the dice and see where the trail leads me. And
Mm,
it's just far beyond any expectation, and it reminds me and how maybe I've limited myself in certain areas,
mm, mm.
right? What have I why the fuck am I limiting myself?
Yeah.
You know? and
Yeah.
then you stand there and the canyon says, well, how far do you want to go?
Yeah. Yeah,
A
we're in a
little bit
night.
further than a stone's throw. I mean, yeah, we're going and going back millions and billions of years.
Mm,
So it's been pretty cool to experience that. And so really immersive, trying to surround myself with these immersive experiences, to kind of just take me in and take me where I need to go,
mm, mm,
and allowing myself to grow so I can further
yeah.
expand the mind, expand the heart.
Yeah. And because it's such an expansive place, having those expansive views is like expanding your consciousness, just looking at those kind of things, those wonders where you're just in awe and speechless. But yeah, it's activating
Yeah.
yourself being, yeah, I can imagine, but like maybe I can't, but yeah, it's powerful. Was that carved out by a glacier, or is it glacial at some point?
Tectonic shifts,
Oh, it's tectonic.
tectonic shifts and plates. Yeah.
It's a
There's a
plate.
lot of volcanic activity in there as
Mm,
well. A lot happening. And then obviously water came in and
mm,
carved a canyon.
yeah.
And so here where I live in Arizona, in the US of A, we've got a lot of canyons that are formed by water, wind,
Yeah.
sand that
Mhm.
move and create these beautiful monuments, through the desert. So it's been great to really just take in all that splendor. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so all of the elements, they definitely stand their own, and they definitely have carved their space through the landscape. And so I honor that, and it's beautiful.
Mm.
It's beautiful to just have the opportunity to ground out and be in nature and connect to something, um, far deeper than myself, right? Far deeper than where this can go, and really allow myself to just go there,
Mm.
be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's kind of what I push myself to do, and realizing that, um, if I want to continue to grow and expand, whether it's my knowledge or study, something I'm doing is going to those depths,
Mm.
going to those spaces and those places that may be a little bit scary, you
Mm.
know, stepping into the void, so to say,
Yeah.
stepping into, those areas that, maybe just need a little further illumination.
Mm, 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 mm. 100%. Yeah. And it is that void area, that aspect, like that vastness of it is that expanse of the void of being able to feel that nothingness, like the amount of air, like the elemental aspect that is within that canyon,
Oh
is
yeah.
is phenomenal. And yeah, feeling the elemental aspects of it as well, the heat that's there, yeah, the water that's carved it out,
Yeah,
yeah, the
it's
wind,
hard not to.
yeah.
It's hard not to. So one of my favorite things to do is I camp a lot. We were talking about this earlier, Carly, who had joined us, and she's like, I just, can't be in four walls. And I'm like, I feel you, girlfriend. I'm like, I have to be here, I have to be in the city for work and what. But any opportunity I have, I do not want to be contained in four walls. I am out under a tree,
Yeah.
I I like to tent camp. I do a lot of it. I'm out at least a couple nights a week,
Mm,
under a tree, listening to the wind,
mm,
you know, looking at the stars above me,
yeah.
um, watching the birds at night,
Mm,
listening to the owls outside, you know, the coyotes, nature, and
mm.
just tuning into that reminds me how I'm I'm a part of something bigger.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, 100%. Totally. Yeah, connecting with something beyond ourselves, that energy that's beyond ourselves, right? And part of that, like disconnecting from that ego mind, essentially, when we kind of tap into those spaces as well, like feeling more heart centered in the energy in our body when we're connecting. Like, for I love walking in the forest and bushwalks, getting out in nature as well, and going for that forest bathing energy coming in that just brings that quietness into the mind. And just, yeah, something about just hearing your feet crunching on the path,
Yes,
and then just
exactly that.
the other sounds that come in from that, rather than listening to anything else. It's puts you in another state, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
activating for that heart space, and that transcending that ego mind, is dropping that consciousness down into our heart. So if you're out in nature, that kind of seems to like naturally happen. We're not on our phones or thinking, or in those four walls which are confining. It's more about flow, and yeah, that growth and expansion, and following what is sparkly and shiny. And sometimes we say that can be a distraction, but I feel like, what's down this little path? And that might open up to something completely new and unexpected, and bring in something more valuable, than following that
Right.
path, which you've had many of those experiences.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what is that little path? Where's that taking me? Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of those experiences here in the desert, and it's to having a sense of adventure. Obviously being mindful of my surroundings and where I'm at, but
Mm,
two, having the sense of where is this going to lead me? Oh my gosh, I hear this bird calling in the distance.
mm,
Where is that?
mm,
I can hear it. Um, when
yeah.
I say immersive experience, we're connected to our phones, or in the sense, whether it's necessity for work or for travel, or if I'm using it for, GPS location, right? Plugging in the map. Well,
Mm,
put that aside and just, kind of allow one foot in front of the other to lead you there.
mm,
Um, I was out the other night on a night hike. I don't know if I shared it with you, um, but it was one of those instances. It was just after the midnight hour, and I'm like, I just want to get out. The weather was nice, and it's starting to get really hot here. So I was like, the weather's so good, I'm going to enjoy it.
mm,
And I set my foot on the trail, and it was exactly that. I could hear my foot doing that little,
mm.
And I'm like, so that takes me, I'm like, oh, this is home.
Yeah.
This is right where I need to be, so I'm like, yes, so it's kind of like I'm just starting off the walk and I'm like, shh, shh, shh. I'm like, yeah, my feet are no longer on carpet or asphalt,
Mm,
I'm out with the earth, right? And I'm walking, and I'm like, okay, so it's dark, and it's not like I'm walking out in daylight where I can really see what's around me. So
mm,
it's shifting. What am I hearing?
yeah.
So now connecting in with the sense of what am I hearing? What's around me? So hear a
Mm,
little bit of winds coming in. I
yeah.
hear this little rustling in the trees, and what is that? And now I'm curious. I gotta go check it out. So
Mm, mm,
so
mm,
I'm about half a mile in at this point, and I'm like, I know there's a bird, and I've maybe heard this before. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I've got to check it out, right? So I'm walking, and I'm like, got really dark, and I was like, kind of getting spooked a little bit because I had not been on this trail before, and I didn't know what to expect, and I'm like, just want to make sure, like, there's not a snake around me or something. There's a big rock over there, and so I put on my headlamp, and as I had put on my headlamp, it glared, and it sent this glare of light. And here to my right, I saw an orb spider
oh,
weaving her web. I
oh,
don't know if
wow.
you've ever seen an orb spider, but
Mm,
they
I'm,
weave the most
mm,
beautiful, intricate webs.
mm, mm,
I,
mm.
I mean, and it's kind of like from the outward in.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, is that what I think it is? And sure enough, so I just shine my light on it, and I can see beautiful grandma spider, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's just going and going.
Mm, mm.
And I'm watching her, and I'm watching her. It must have been like maybe 8, 10 minutes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I can't believe I'm witnessing this right now.
Yeah.
And I'm
Wow.
just like, I could not help but look, right?
And if you
And
hadn't have
so,
stopped to get the headlamp out, could you have walked through it maybe as well? Like, were you heading that way? Like, if you hadn't have stopped,
no,
maybe you would have just,
no, actually, I was right in the middle of the trail, Nicola. I was right in the middle of this
okay,
trail, and this
it
was
was to the
off to the
side.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like an overhang of the tree. I'll have to share
Mm,
some pictures.
yeah.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
I'm like, this is so fucking beautiful. I was just like, yes, yeah, yeah. I'm like, it's off to a pretty good start right here.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm like, dude, I'm like, I really want to see where this trail leads.
Mm,
So I got to keep going. I'm like, pretty cool. I'll come back and visit you, right? But, I want to get one last shot. I wanted to take a picture because I figured at this point,
yeah.
you know, I walk a couple miles. We'll see how big that web has got at this point, right?
Mm, mm,
And so I'm walking, walking, walking. Saw some really cool birds along the way, a type of a flycatcher, some really cool red birds. But I
mm,
kept hearing this bird off in the distance, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? Like, I know I've heard it, but it sounds kind of different, right? So I'm like, you know what? I better get in. It started to get a little bit chilly. I'm walking back, and I'm like, I heard that little bird again. And I'm like, dude, what is that? So I stopped and I look up. So now I'm on the opposite side of the trail,
mm.
and I see these two eyes staring at me like that. And I was like, whew, yeah.
Awesome.
It was an owl. It was a little western screech owl, and they are out here, but they're very rare to see.
Mm,
Most of the time, people hear them, and I
mm,
must have heard it before. It was a very distinct sound, and I'm like, "What
mm,
is that?" Sure enough, and they get to about 5, 6 inches.
mm.
So this was a tree. It's a desert tree that grows here, mesquite. So it had lost all its leaves, and it was just kind of, it gets that wicked look to
Mm.
it. It's just fucking badass. And the owl totally camouflaged her, and all I could see was these eyes. And I'm like, "Woo." So I'm like, dude. So I pull out my light and I look at him, and he's looking at me. And like, we shared some time together. We shared probably 20 minutes or so, just staring at each other. And he was like, And I'm like, dude, I see you. And he's like, I see you too. And I was like, all right, man, thanks for hanging out. Because I asked him, I go, can I just take a closer look at you? You're beautiful. And he totally did. And so I'm just smiling at this point. And I look over, and sure enough, there's Grandma Spider. She's weaving
Whoa.
her web.
In the same
So
place.
they were like, same
Whoa.
place.
Whoa.
I was like,
Whoa.
yeah, you know what? Sometimes you take that dark path
Yeah.
and you find cool shit like that,
It was wicked.
unexpected. Yeah.
Wicked
It's not
ass.
all as scary as it seems, right?
That's all in your perception, right? Of it, totally. But yeah, fuck yeah, that's cool as.
I'm gonna tell you what, Nicola, now I really look forward to seeing cool shit in the dark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really do.
Nothing that's yeah freaking you out or anything. Exactly. I mean, but it's your perception that seeing that spider would freak someone else out. So it's all in
Right.
what you're there to perceive and the beauty of what you're witnessing rather than yeah, like projecting fear or anything else onto poor grandmother spider. Yeah.
I have seen some scary spiders. I've been stung by a black widow. We have some other venomous like scorpions and things out here, and I've experienced all of that, and it can be pretty scary. I'm not saying hey go out into the desert because yeah, we have things like rattlesnakes and
Yeah.
really venomous scorpions and things like that. So I'm mindful of that, but in a sense too, facing my fears.
Yeah.
You know. Um, Not allowing it to control my mind space in the sense of
Mm.
stepping into the emperor energy of control,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to let my mind go there. I'm going to see the beauty in the things that are scary.
Yeah, the beauty in the dark places. Oh, exactly. Totally. And everything just wants to be witnessed and in the majesty of what they are, right? Yeah. To be
Absolutely that.
have that time with the little owl and 20 minutes of just like looking at
Oh,
it.
he was so cute. Like literally, it was like we were just standing there, and I was just totally admiring it.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a huge advocate, yeah, for the nocturnal wildlife. Really big into the nocturnal wildlife. So a big part of my growth and expansion has been really stepping into that, and it has been building um, over the last couple of years, taking a courageous step into myself and following a passion of mine that kind of was just set on the back burner, but knowing I wanted to connect more into that, and um, things have really lined up to bring people and things into my space and into my awareness to really allow me to um, take the step into that. And so, the first step is always the scariest, taking a step out of the car in the dark onto a trail. You don't know what's behind the bend.
Mm-mm,
Yeah, there's scary things out there, or may seem scary to some.
mm,
Um, but kind of pushing myself to just go beyond my comfort zone,
yeah.
and
Sure.
it's not always easy, but it definitely has been so fulfilling in a
Mm-mm,
lot of different ways. You know, not only the personal growth, but seeing the impact that it has had in my surrounding communities and
mm,
how it has inspired others to do the same and be
mm,
more proactive in what they're doing in the community,
mm.
and how I'm continually inspired by that.
Yeah.
It's just feeding that fire,
Yeah.
keeping the flame alive.
Yeah. That's
And yeah, I've been moved by it, So yeah, I've had the opportunity to share some of that passion in the community,
mm,
and at a greater scale, So that's been so cool. That's been
mm,
so cool for me as an Arizona native.
mm,
I think about things that I'm passionate about sharing, which are, conservation and
mm,
preservation of our natural resources,
mm.
of our trees,
Yeah.
of our birds, of our bees,
Yeah.
all things that we depend on for life, for
Mm,
energy. for
Mm-mm.
food, for
Mm.
sustenance, and trees to breathe.
Yeah.
The very oxygen we need to feed our bodies.
Mm-mm-mm.
um, and so the very inspiration that feeds my soul. And so I'm thankful for the opportunity to connect to that. And so yeah, I've been building that, which has been great. It's been beautiful to see it just unfold. And yeah, so just those little sparks,
Yeah.
along the way. And yeah, so I've been working on some night hikes. So facing those fears has allowed me to guide other people through the
Mm.
trails at night.
Yeah, I love it that the night hikes is such a thing, right? Yeah. I think it's, I guess the desert life, the desert comes to life over there. It must, really do. I don't know if such a thing exists here. I mean, we've got the kiwis and the morepork, the little owls that we have here, ruru.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Apart,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if night hikes are a big thing here. So it's so cool because yeah, there's so many more aspects of stuff that you can see over there, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just too, man, Nicola, it's just finding the space I feel comfortable into, in the sense of
Mm.
I've I haven't always been a day or morning person. I'm not by choice.
Mm.
I mean, every now and then I'm up, I catch a sunrise, and I'm like, that is fucking beautiful. You
Mm.
know, there are spaces like if I'm camping, I love to get up and cook camp breakfast. That's like my favorite thing to do. So that moves me to
Mm.
get up in the morning.
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon, beautiful sunrises. But
It's a different
morning
space,
time,
right? It's a different space. You're
yeah,
not in your house anymore. You're camping. That's natural to wake up.
for
With
sure.
sunrise when you're in a tent. Like that's a natural, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. I got to go
Mm.
back to get under the trees for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, but here in the city life, I've always looked for a way to connect, and I'm not. I'll say it. I'm just not a morning person. It's just not my
No.
jam by preference. I've always been connected to the night since I
Mm.
was a very young child. I've been drawn to the moon
Mm.
and the stars, and
Mm.
any opportunity to get out under it. And so I've put this out there, like, okay, universe, this is what I want to do. Show me the next steps. And
Mm.
so, you know, going to the receiving and allowing,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Allowing myself to receive the information on the other end, so
Mm.
I can continue to grow and expand these ideas. And
Mm.
and yeah, if we keep an open heart and mind to that, I'm doing it.
Mm.
Flash forward, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
And it's fucking
totally.
rad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all really come together. Definitely. Definitely. That
yeah, for
flow and
sure.
yeah, feeling the growth for you and the expansion into that. Most definitely. Yeah. It's really flowing. Totally. Totally. When we put those projects, together and put them out there, then, the everything can fall into place. It's kind of how it felt with doing the tarot readings that I'm doing at the shop I work at now. Like everything that happened around that just happened so organically. Like even to the point of like starting working there, like there was no work that I did in terms of like going to work there. It was, I just happened to be in the shop and asked them, and she's like, "Oh, I just handed my kind of resignation in now for my maternity leave or whatever." So yeah, like there's not officially a job yet, but it's coming up. And so that it just everything just kind of happened so organically to then be in the space to be able to offer in-person readings from the place that I'm working, and then everything else just flowed so organically from there in terms of like putting it out there and having the space to do it and just formulating everything. And so when things come into alignment seamlessly, maybe not easily, I mean it did feel easy, but seamlessly, then
Yeah.
it's just that natural flow of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because there's no resistance. And even the woman who runs the shop where I work, she said that everything that she's done is like, it just if it flows, then you just follow it. If you come up against a wall, then you're like, oh, I'm obviously not meant to go that way. What's the next thing?
Right.
Instead of being like, but I want to go that way. I want to go that way for like 5 years later. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll go do this. Like she's like, yep, nah, it's not working. Next thing. And if you keep trying to, push towards something and everything just kind of seems to work and you're not coming up against anything that's pushing you in a different direction, then it's just the natural flow of what's supposed to be happening for you. So sitting there trying to force things that constantly come up with things that problems, things aren't lining up and things aren't working, it's like those are all signs that it's like not the right time or not the right thing to be doing. And yeah, to kind of follow those, right? And just really, like it's hard though when you're like dead set on wanting to do something, I guess. I guess that comes from the evolution of self and moving into that emperor energy that we're talking about today, of knowing yourself and honoring yourself. And when you're young and you're like, but that's what I want to do, for 5 years, coming up against a wall and things aren't working, it's like if you but that's all comes with awareness of ourselves, right? And not being defeated if something doesn't work, and just flowing
Yeah.
to the next thing and the next thing until we find that avenue that does unfold naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's exactly it too, is I think, well, that's part of the growth, right? Um,
Yeah.
Part of the we were talking earlier, and I'll refer back to it is, you know, I was mentioning about, clearing space, right?
Mm.
Realizing, well, I've got new projects I'm working on and I need space to do
Mm.
it,
Yeah.
which means I need to clear some space to do it.
Yeah.
um, which I had to sort through things and go through things and maybe face things I didn't want to, or allow myself to get rid of or donate things because that might have had some type of sentimental significance or attachment to it. So with that takes work to kind of, okay, now I'm faced with this, I got
Mm.
to work on letting this go, or what did it mean, or
Mm.
so it's kind of like shuffling through these things in life, as I face these things, or okay, well, I can push this to the back corner of the closet, but I know it's there, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to face it. I've got to clean out that space,
Yeah.
and so
Totally.
um, it's kind of growing through that as well. But
Mm.
we had talked previously, about snakes. So I've had the opportunity to work with reptiles, and I'm seeing this before my face, like literally the snake is shedding its skin because it needs room to grow,
Yeah.
and so I need to let go so I can grow.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
literally I'm forcing myself out of this fucking skin. And so with that, it does take courage to face those things so we can
Mm.
allow ourselves to move to that next thing.
Mm.
um I I I dealt with this last year, where going into the reverse aspect, right, of the emperor, we'll bring him back into the fold here, and that stubbornness, right, and the stubbornness of, but I was so dead set on getting this done.
Mm.
um I was involved in a group, right, and I just didn't feel quite right,
Mm.
but I value myself in being a woman of my word. If I tell you I'm going to show up, like come rain or shine, like shit might happen along the way, but I'm going to show up,
Mm.
even though it did not feel right. And I'm like trying to figure out, how does this fit? But I told you I was going to commit myself, and it's just not working out.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so that dissolved
Mm.
in, and I'm was like relieved that it did, because I could not make that decision and just say, what, this ain't fucking working for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a little bit,
The universe does it for you sometimes, though, right? Like,
yeah, and, and and
if,
so I'm like, I had put this out there, and I needed a little bit of a push, and it was like, you know what, Sophia, look, man, like, you're not supposed to be here. I've actually got something else planned. And it
Mm.
was a matter of literally like 2 weeks
Yeah, right.
of like, no, nope, we got a call to action here.
Yeah.
Like this is where you belong and this is what you're doing. And which is truly
Mm.
my heart's desire, which is truly like what I've been passionate about since I
Mm.
was a kid. You
Yeah.
know, going back and connecting to those things, it may be in a different way. So
Mm.
I've had the opportunity to work with these reptiles and insects in the nightlife. And I remember as a kid, making my mud pies and my magical potions with herbs and,
Mm.
playing with the ants and the butterflies and the caterpillars. And so I'm like, gosh, I would love to do this, and but really wasn't encouraged or even thought I could do this, as like a
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
And so now I'm doing it,
Yeah.
flash forward, 35 years, and I'm like, I'm doing it in a different way, in a bigger scale, and in a way that I couldn't even imagine,
Yeah.
but and
Mm.
so sometimes when those things aren't working, it's like why force what's not working?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Obviously, yeah,
Mm.
it's not working because it's not meant to be. And allowing myself to be in trust, right? And trusting that it's okay, it's all gonna work out the way it should. And I'm just like
Mm.
far more than what I could even imagine, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like and I don't have that feeling of uneasiness or like I mean, I guess when things do line up and are in alignment, I can say I know how good that feels in
Mm.
comparison to that knot in my stomach of this don't
Yeah.
feel right.
Yeah, totally. But that's a learning and an understanding, right? Of like what does feel good and what doesn't feel good in terms of like being in space and working with, the things and forcing things to work or, yeah, or just being in flow and allowing and knowing that fuck yeah, this feels good. This is what like alignment or just being in a human in your life feels like to be good. Yeah, to have that flow. Totally. It is that. Definitely. 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 But it's that connection to
Yeah,
self,
yeah.
right? That connection to self knowing, to know that, you know, to have the vulnerability or the yeah, the passion or the desire to actually like find those things that are gonna work for you, you know.
Yeah, it's
Because it's like staying in
well you've got,
jobs for too long and stuff, easily.
what's that, Nicola?
It's just like staying in jobs for too long that, just do not feel in alignment, or that you're not in alignment with, and or you're working somewhere and that that person is just not gelling with everyone, and you can tell that because they're not a bad person, but they're just not in alignment with everything, and and yeah, and when things shift, or when you leave a job, or they leave, or something happens, there's like a relief, and you can kind of feel that the energy shifts, because of that
Gotcha.
dynamic, because that tension, right? That tension
Yeah,
is
it's that tension for sure.
yeah,
I mean, I've experienced that,
yeah.
work professionally or projects I've worked on. I'm like, yeah, this just ain't my vibe,
Mm,
and looking back at it now and how things that has happened a lot faster. Those shifts have happened a lot faster.
yeah.
Where it's like, nope, Sophie, I'm pulling you out of there. Like, nope, this ain't working. Like, and it's
Oh,
just,
100%.
I,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like I don't carry that resent anymore in the sense I just fully trust.
yeah.
As a younger kid, it was like, why? Do they not like me? Or I would get so hung up on shit. And now
Mm,
I'm like, this is so fucking petty. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I just don't have time for that shit, dude. I'm
Just
just
gonna
like,
move on.
bye.
I'm just gonna move on. Yeah, okay, bye.
In the sense of I wish you well, but it obviously didn't work for a reason,
Mm,
and if I'm trusting, the universe to put me back to where I'm at and trusting, my prayers, my voice is heard, and my guides are saying no, so this is not flowing,
yeah, this is
you
not the
know.
right vibe. Yeah, no. Mm,
Yeah. And two, I think it's feeling okay with that. For me, I've noticed is I've allowed myself to receive and connect more into me,
mm,
then I find myself in those instances where I know if I want to grow or where it's stagnant in
mm,
the sense of, kind of wading in the water. That's when shit starts to get murky.
mm.
You get those
Yeah.
mosquitoes and all that shit. And it's just like, no, I want the water flowing,
That
you
stagnation.
know?
Yeah. When things get stagnant, there's no flow. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, definitely. Definitely,
I
definitely.
don't feel good there. I'd rather be in flowing water, man. It feels
Mm,
good on my body. I like to put my feet in it,
yeah.
It's got a good sound to it. It
Yeah.
just flows,
Mm,
you know? But two, for me, and it's been growing to the self-value and the self-worth,
mm.
knowing that I don't deserve that,
Yeah.
or I want better for myself,
Mm,
you
mm.
know.
Yeah.
I don't want to stay small in the fact of I want to continue to grow. I
Mm,
don't want to remain stagnant,
mm,
like, and if I'm at a point where it's making me feel uncomfortable or that I'm fighting something all the time or it is tension to the
mm.
point where I'm so uncomfortable that I can't bear it anymore, then
Yeah.
I've got to make that shift, right?
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
And so I need to bust out of the skin.
Yeah. Getting too big for the skin. Exactly. Gotta gotta grow. But it is that like the times where for me, when I find myself in those situations now, like you say, like you're not in it for very long and you can identify when it doesn't feel right and make the shift. Whereas when you're younger, when you're a teenager, when you're in your 20s or whatever, and you are operating in that way, you're more likely to stay in something that isn't working, to save face or to
Oh,
be
for
like, well,
sure.
this is what I said I was going to do. So I need to keep doing it. And there's that keeping on doing to kind of make it work because you said it was going to work. And that's just like expelling so much extra energy. It takes so much more of our life force energy to kind of flow against the current towards something that's not working with that abrasive energy than it does just to kind of surrender it, and then just relax and see what happens. See what happens around you, what happens within that state. Someone might message you or you bump into someone and they have an opportunity for you because you were able to release something that was heavy and toxic or draining so much life force energy that when we can like let go of those things, then it allows so many other things to come in. And I was having a big clear out of a whole lot of clothing. I've taken 2 massive bags of stuff to op shop and I'm starting to fill it up again, but it's not filling up as fast. But anyway, as soon as I let go of a couple of dresses, in my mind, it was like, just get rid of those dresses for ages. And I was like, nah, I don't want to get rid of those dresses. It just kept popping into my head, that red dress, like you don't like it whenever you wear it, but you just keep it and whatever, and so I finally got rid of them. And then that same day my mum had a this friggin' really cool kimono, Japanese Chinese gown, like dressing gown. I mean, probably not super expensive, but it's reversible, black on one side, red on the other. It's got the gold dragons and just got dragons on
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, like, literally on the same day, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. This is way cooler than those other dresses that I was like, I just want to keep them just for the sake of keeping them, like, just get rid of them. And just instantly that same day, like, allowed room for something else that was just way cooler to arrive in, like, straight away. Straight away.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I know.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
And it had sat there for ages. Like it had been given to mum by someone else. I can't remember. And it had sat there for ages. And then it just happened to be that day that she was like, oh, yeah, this is here. And I was like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's for you. I was like, oh wow. And yeah, same day that I took the things to the op shop. Crazy, eh?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's if that's not affirming, I don't know what is,
Yeah.
right?
I was like, what else can I get rid of? Fuck. What else am I what else am I holding on to? I, and then around that same time, Reels, fucking Instagram wisdom, the oracle of Instagram was something I watched was like,
The oracle of Instagram. Is this a real thing or what? Or
oh,
no, she's oh, that's fucking awesome, dude.
the 30-second oracle, doom scrolling.
Oh shit. That's what our mind's been conditioned to. Give me that quick fix, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's said that
Oh shit.
oh my God, I was gonna say that. I guess we can. The oracle of Instagram, someone's real was saying that holding on to stuff that you don't necessarily need anymore, it's that hoarding energy, but it's actually lack mentality. Because if you
Mm,
think that you need to keep things, some things have sentimental value that you kind of really want to keep, but holding on to a lot of stuff is that lack mentality, because you think there's not going to be more. And that's why I was holding on to those dresses, because I was like, oh, well, I wear them at Christmas time, and the blah 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 whatever story. And then I was like, well, what if there's a better dress that I can wear at Christmas for Christmas Day? Like, I'm just holding on to them because I think that I won't be able to find anything better. And not that I can wear my Chinese kimono. I could wear my Chinese kimono on Christmas Day. Why not?
oh shit, yeah. Oh heck yeah, man.
And whatever it was called, it's those dressing gowns with the anyway. So yeah, so I was like, oh, that had like a bit of a paradigm shift for me, like holding on to stuff unnecessarily is lack mentality, because you think that there's not going to be more, there's not going to be finances for more, or there's not just going to be more things. So that was like a big shift in
Mm,
energy for me, in terms of like letting stuff go. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's certainly a way to look at it.
Mm.
I have seen, because I was raised by my grandparents, and so my grandmother, she was orphaned really young. She lived through a depression, and so I think that there's that whole mentality we had talked about before several episodes ago about, the fine china type thing, or only bringing out the good stuff, but that whole mentality. Maybe because it comes from a lack. We're not going to have much. We're in a fucking depression. Yeah. I mean, like, we need to save everything. Everything has a use,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm trying to be more mindful of that. I'm big on repurposing.
Yeah.
So, I try to think about, can this be repurposed? As I've been clearing stuff, can I really repurpose it, or am I just holding on to it?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And will I do
Now, like,
one day?
yeah, but too, like where I'm at, like, as I meet people, like I've been clearing through my bookshelves and I have to do it again, because it's like, man, fuck, where I'm able to share some of these things that
Mm,
I've accumulated, So when I first started my journey, and I remember working all summer to
mm,
purchase like my first occult book, and because then it was like, you don't have money for this type of shit, right? And so I'm like, so I remember that. But
mm,
I found myself in an instance where I had this tub full of books, and
mm,
I met a young lady who's just starting. And so it took me right back to, what, now I'm able to gift you this.
mm,
And so there's something fulfilling too. And I kind of flip it as to the abundance aspect
mm.
of being in the position to keeping that, to
Yeah.
keeping that growing, right? And keeping that abundance flowing,
Yeah.
where, I'm going to support you, I'm going to gift to you, I'm going to make a donation.
Mm,
And because I know and I trust that that's going to come right back to
mm.
me. It
Mm.
may not be monetary wise, but
Yeah.
it could be, you know, in a word or a small gift, um, something that, the universe knew that I actually needed or could use,
Yeah.
or, for that time. And it's not only like a, monetary value. It could be, I I was gifted a picture that a kid had drew for me the other day from one of the programs. And I
Mm.
was like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like, reminders, reminders along the way, like what do we really need, what
Mm.
am I using? Can I use it? Or can this be given love to somebody else? Could it be used elsewhere? Because in that sense, then too, I feel it's keeping it alive, right? Like it's not alive, shoved somewhere in the back of my closet or in
Yeah.
my drawer, but it can be appreciated and loved, right? And so
Mm.
because I love that item, I'm
Mm.
gonna keep it alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I love that
it's kind of,
aspect. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because it's hard, I'm very sentimental about things. Now I have let go of some things, but I'm mindful too now, I guess too, what I want to bring in my space, um, allowing for space. And it's not only about things that I've collected, but it's things too in my spiritual path, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Being more mindful
Mm.
of the energy and the resonance and the life that it's gonna, have in this space and in my heart. Um, and two, how is that going to nourish what I need at this moment in the journey?
Mm, mm, mm.
So just be mindful of that. Like if I truly want to grow to that next level, right, and continue to grow, then what do I need to let go of so I can further expand?
Yeah, oh, that's exactly what it is as well, right? Like, what do I need to let go of physically, but also, yeah, internally, like aspects of self, and past self, and maybe letting go of the stuff around you will help letting go of these different aspects within us as well that are holding, keeping that, you know, back. And I think that that's a lot of the psychology around hoarding. We flatmates years ago were a bit obsessed with watching hoarders, and I just found it really fascinating, the psychology of like why people, yeah, hold on to so many things. um and so it is that burying of aspects of ourselves when we're like having to fill up. There's like a lack within, that we're filling our space with so many things because there's all this lack internally, and all things that we're burying within us that aren't wanting to come up. And so feeling, I'm definitely a collector. I definitely have a lot of things. My rooms are brimming a little bit, but it's not borderline any kind of hoarding, but it's like, and just let's observe what's happening here, and what do I have
Yeah.
space for and capacity for, and what am I gaining by buying more things and filling, what am I proving to myself, to other people? Do I really need it? Do I want it? What is it doing from, how are these things serving me? Like you're saying, can it bring joy to someone else, outside of what's going on here with me? um and so, yeah, these are just really beautiful ways that we can like cultivate our home space, our living space, and yeah,
Yeah.
feeling those aspects of, yeah, of growth within that. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just well, as I've been clearing space, it's quite fascinating. I'll have to show you, but I've got to, like you said, I've been clearing through books, right? And so as I've donated books and I've shared books, then
Mm,
I unveil books that are sitting on my shelf right now
mm.
that are actually serving projects that are into fruition now.
Yeah,
So it's
amazing.
like they're on a bot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
dude, and this is,
functional.
we're flashing forward 20 years. 20
Yeah.
years, fucking Nicola. I'm like,
Mm.
dude, and so now I'm at the bottom of the pile and I'm like, okay, these have resurfaced. Like literally,
Yeah.
Fucking crazy shit, dude.
You're like, I can use these now.
I could use these now. So
Mm,
I'm doing the nocturnal stuff, Moz, and
yeah,
you know, Guide to the Southwest States,
cool.
book on bats,
Awesome.
freaking the cosmos,
Amazing.
all kinds of cool shit, dude. And so I'm like, freaking A, dude. So I go out to look for this stuff, right? And again, in my truck, talk about having shit in a bag. So I was out on the night hike the other night, and
Yeah, I'm
one of
about
the other guides, he's like, hey, yeah. He goes,
okay. This is awesome.
and so this is literally like a childhood dream of mine,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, fucking A, dude. So he goes, hey, so we've got a couple of guides that are doing bird hikes at
Mm,
night.
mm,
And they want to take a little bit of a break.
yeah.
Um, would you be interested? You think you'd have time? And I'm just like, well, actually, I am gonna have time because my partner will be away for a while, so I have a couple of months freed up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I'm going through this bag in my truck, and it's fucking birds, shit on
Uh,
birds. I'm not even bullshitting you, dude. Fucking birds, birds.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, dude, okay.
Birding.
Yeah, I hear you, universe. I hear you,
Yeah.
and so I think it's just,
You set yourself up.
we've got
Mm-mm-mm.
we've got the tools, and sometimes, we're talking, it's taken time to go through and face some of those things that I had to release and let go of so I can get to the bottom of the bin to find these books that are
Yeah.
serving me now.
Yeah. Exactly.
You,
It's post.
it's
Yeah.
just,
Far
that's
out.
kind of just the way I'm looking at it, man.
Yeah.
And those are the things, yeah, like you said, you can't make up that shit, it just fucking just comes together as it should.
Yeah. And
And
you don't know what's going to be at the bottom of the pile, when you start clearing things out. But it's like, what is it releasing and allowing and letting new creativity flow totally. And maybe the fact that those books were revealed allowed the space for the guy to ask you for that to come in as well. Like, what if
yeah,
you didn't dig the books out? Maybe that situation might not have happened also, like somehow.
I totally believe that. I
Yeah.
totally believe that. I'm like, it's bringing it to life.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's saying like, okay, I'm here now.
Mm,
And it's been a lot of stuff I didn't want to face. I had a bin of stuff that I had with my sister who had passed, and
mm,
pictures and a lot of like mixed media
mm,
in this tub, and I didn't want to face it. It was hard.
mm.
I've been grieving and dealing with grief and the loss of a loved one, so a lot of emotions have been stirred up, and I'm just like, what better way to process than to clean, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, most definitely.
yeah, literally like a fucking book of birds in a bag.
Yeah, that's
It's
epic.
like a fucking tote bag ready to go. So I'm just, I'm like, okay, like, you know what? Maybe I am doing the right thing. You
Mm.
know,
Oh, that's all pointing towards everything. Yeah. 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 Without
you
a doubt.
know,
Without a
you,
doubt. Right. Yeah.
we find those moments, man. Like,
Mm.
we find those moments, regardless of our experiences, where, I have to remind myself, yeah, I am human. I still have those moments of self-doubt or just doubt, like, am I on the right path, or
Mm.
should I really be doing this, and
Yeah.
we get those reminders that,
Mm.
at that point is, do I continue to doubt it? Do I continue to fear it? Or do I step my foot on that dark trail? I may
Oh,
not know where it's going to lead me.
yeah.
Perhaps it's not illuminated. Well, why not fucking bring the light and illuminate it, right?
Yeah.
Open up that book, take a look, see where it leads
Mm.
you.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
that when, you know, questioning about being on the right path. When I was traveling, I had a moment where I was questioning that. You know, I was traveling and I was in Rome. It was a friggin' hot as fuck day. Cobblestones everywhere. You know, you're like, am I going to break an ankle today? Eating an ice cream, crowds of tourists, as well as me being a tourist. And I don't know, I'd just been in Norway and I did an initiation kind of through a festival there, you know, through Freya and through connecting with, you know, Viking and metal music through that music festival there. And so that was a big initiation. And then coming into Rome and that contrast of the like the Catholic Church, and you know, I'd been to the Vatican and I was walking to go to another place. I can't remember what I was walking towards, but I was just questioning because of the place that I was in. Like, am I on the right path? And as soon as I had that thought, a witch's broomstick dropped out of the sky, and I had to step across it. I had to, like, all of a sudden there was like a broomstick in front of me and I had to step across it. And I was like, what the fuck?
In Rome?
Yeah,
In Rome.
and I looked up and there were these two ladies and they use a witch, like looks like a witch's broomstick, but they use it to sweep the streets, and it looks like a witch's broomstick, like it's an old fashioned, you know, wooden handle with all the, you know, tied on the end. And so I had to right as soon as I had that thought, I wonder, am I doing the right thing? And then it was like, whoa, I had to like step over this broomstick and just literally dropped. And these women were like, oh, we're so sorry. And, you know, in Italian. And I was like, okay, I'm on the right path. Just
That is beautiful.
and seemingly dropped out of the sky because I'm balancing ice cream, you know, maps on your phone and looking down, trying not to, you know, cobblestones, trying not to break your ankle. So I didn't see where the broomstick came from. I just saw it go whoo, and right in front of me. It was like, whoa, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Point where I had to step over it. It was like that close, you know, within my path. Right as I had that thought, I was like, okay, that's a fucking sign.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, my trip was
Yeah.
full of lots of instances like that. Yeah.
How long did you how long were you on that trip there in Rome?
I was in Rome for a week. Oh, 5 days I was in Rome, I think. But yeah, I was traveling for like 8 months. That was like an 8 month stint of,
Oh wow.
so that was before COVID. So I had gone to Norway and I started in the Czech Republic with some friends, and I did back-to-back metal festivals, 3 weeks in a row, three metal festivals, one in the Czech Republic and then two in Norway. And I was so fried by the end of it, obviously. But so that was an initiation in itself as well. And the first music festival was with people that I knew, but then the other two I didn't know anyone. So the Viking,
Wow.
yeah, the Viking Metal Festival I was volunteering at, so you got to meet people and, you know, other travelers and, you know, people that lived in places. And the reason why I went to Rome is because the guy who was working at the festival and volunteering, he lived in Rome, and so he said to, you know, come and visit me there. And I left chunks of open space in my travel because I knew that I would meet people at the music festivals and they'd be like, come, you know, come and see us in Finland or wherever, Greece, Rome, you know. And so yeah, that's how I ended up in Rome. But yeah, that was just baffling, you know. And I had another one. I was in Venice. So that was within the same trip. I went to Rome first, and then I went to Florence, and then I went to Venice. And in Venice, again, it was like a ridiculously hot day, and Venice being just this maze and network of bridges and overpasses and this concentric rings of, you know, of labyrinth essentially. And I was loving it, but I was also disorientated and I didn't know which way I was going. And I'm usually pretty good directionally. I'm not directionally challenged. I'm usually pretty onto it. But the state of this place is like you're walking down, and you think this is the way to go. And there's I'm like, this is a friggin' dead end. But there's like this tiny little slither and this tiny little corridor, and you get down there and then it opens up into another big area. And so it's this
Mm.
incredible network. Anyway, I was so exhausted and I found a Leonardo da Vinci exhibition to go into. So I went into that and it was a bit cooler in there. And I was walking around and, it was dark. So it was great. But there was like nowhere to sit and I was like, I just want to fucking sit and, just look at some of these things. And some of them, they were all his drawings that he had done of anatomy. But
Yeah.
someone had made them into sculptures. So his drawings had been made into these like realistic 3D, like all the layers of
Oh
the
my God.
veins and, seeing into cross sections of people's bodies. So, and it was all super lifelike and realistic. So it was so amazing and intricate to look at. But with being so exhausted from all of the walking, I was just like, this is like sensory overload again. And I just want to sit down. There's like nowhere to sit. And I just got so frustrated. And I was like, what is the point in all of this travel? Like, what am I even doing this for? And I just found like there was a little alcove, like, the natural flow of the exhibition kind of went like this. And there was this like little random off bit. I think there may have been a door there that was closed and it was like a little ramp that went up. And so I went and just sat in there and leant down against the wall, and directly in front of me was a clay wall that had etchings in it, and my name was written in the clay right where I sat down, Nicola. And I just was like, I closed my eyes in exhaustion,
No way, dude.
and then
No
when I opened
way.
my eyes and looked straight ahead, it was like Nicola, and I was like, oh.
You gotta be kidding me.
No,
What?
yeah.
Come on, man.
I know. I was like, fucking got my phone out and took a photo. I was like, boom. Okay, well, I'm obviously supposed to be here right now, but I'm so exhausted. Like, I'll send you the photo.
No way, man. That is fucking cool,
Buzzy,
dude.
buzzy, crazy.
I guess, I mean, it's sometimes if you're just not seeing it, you know.
Yeah, I could have walked around there and just been like, oh, I'm so exhausted, but not decided to sit down. I wouldn't have seen that, you know. But the fact that there
Mm.
were no seats anywhere in the exhibition where you could just sit and contemplate the whole thing, it was like, yeah, I had to find this weird little corner to sit down in, and my name was right there. And it wasn't even dark, it was like lit, like the whole wall was like lit with these like down lights like on it.
Somebody put that seat there just for you. I mean, literally, it
There
had
was
your
no
name on
seat.
it.
There was no seat. I had to sit on the floor. I had to sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sat on the floor because there was nowhere else to sit. So I was like this weird little alcove and I just sat on the concrete floor. And when you sit down, you're so tired, you just close your eyes as soon as you sit down. And I was just like, oh, what the fuck is all this for? And then like I just opened my eyes and my name was right there.
No way, man. I'm trying to like imagine this when I see pictures of like Italy and like those small little streets, that are all the cobblestone and the different stones and
Mm.
I just imagine like a piece of clay or stone and then kind of like, where do you roam in Rome, right?
Yeah. It was so bizarre. And there was some other weird etchings
That
in
is
it as well.
craziness.
But it was, yeah, I'll send you a photo of it. It's just,
And so was this like a clay wall of the building?
nah, it's within the exhibition. Within the
No
exhibition.
way, dude.
Yeah. But I don't think it wasn't part of the exhibition. But I don't know if I added it into this. I'll try and find it.
When I think about stuff like this, where it literally has your name on it, like, either we travel back like years to where you know, I know that I'm gonna have a book of bags on birds. Maybe Nicola was having that moment of questioning the doubt that you just had to imprint your name into it, right? Like
Yeah,
literally
like
carved
what
to
if it
say,
was a
hey.
past self? Yeah, like what if it was true? What if that was a message from your past self? I never thought of that before. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah, just like, okay, look, I know she's gonna be having a hard moment this day, and so let's just give her a little reminder.
yeah, let's put this here. Oh man, that was so out there.
Wow. Sounds like an amazing trip though.
Yeah,
And
it was.
good music, lots of adventures,
Yeah.
meeting new people, seeing new spaces.
Mm-mm. Yeah. I thought it would be saved in here. I'll have to send it to you later.
Wow. I'm trying to imagine this now in a Da Vinci exhibition in
Oh, here
itself.
we go.
Come on, Nicola.
It's like a little kid wrote it. Right.
Come on, dude. Come on.
Is that showing the right way around for you? It looks reversed for me.
Yeah,
Is it right?
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a little kid wrote it though, like a big A and a little N. Like some little kid's written it.
What?
But it was in clay, like it was still within the building itself.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. If it's in the building of itself, how old is that building? How young would you have been maybe when you inscribed that?
Yeah. I know, right? But
Wow.
trippy, yeah.
Well, imagine if this was Da Vinci himself, and maybe that was something he did.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I should have asked them. I'm like, what is that plate of yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Perhaps Google image it, see what comes up. I'd be
Yeah, or
very curious.
I could maybe email the place, but they'll probably all speak Italian. They'll be like, "Excuse me, your name is Nicola. My name is written on your wall. It's upstairs. It's on the little alcove. There's a doorway. Blah blah blah."
uh, uh,
Mm.
yeah,
Crazy.
moments and spaces and places in between. Like I mean, when you're not expecting it, and that's one of those things. I met a young man the other night, and
Mm,
he told me, "Man, Sophie," he goes, "the universe knows what's up."
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
we shared some moments together, and I'm just like, I message him, we connect on, hey, give me your Instagram, and I'm like, I was tired by the time I got home. I'm like, I need to make it a point to message him, just
Mm,
because the interaction we had was meaningful, even though we had not met before. It may have been a stranger face to face, but
mm,
was it,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those things, and so I said, hey, I just want to thank you. And that's a whole nother story. He shared some of his art with me,
Mm, cool.
and he does art photography and now camera work for a band that
Mm,
I went to see the other night. And
mm.
and so he shared his story on how they met, how he had been a huge fan for years, and he was out skateboarding in a ditch in a local spot, and the band's there, and they're like, hey, he's like, hey, well, if you ever need a camera guy, and they're like, as a matter of fact, we're going on tour. How about it? And it all just lined up where he was in that
Whoa.
space, and so I had met him the other night, and he's just like, I'm like, dude, yeah. So we connected, and he's like, hey, hold on a second. And he gave me some stickers with a picture, and one of them was a Ouroboros.
Oh,
And
cool.
so I had I had a dream of that symbol the
Yeah.
night prior,
Oh,
and he
wow.
has his own spin on it as far as his art. And
Yeah.
so perhaps and so I said, oh my gosh, I'm just so moved by this. So
Mm.
um the last few weeks have been that for me is connecting and meeting with artists
Yeah.
that
Awesome.
have inspired me in different ways and have just shown up by being themselves and
Yeah.
sharing those affirmations, whether it's through a word or a hug or what I need to hear in
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
for encouragement, right? It's all art, as far as when I think about the way that I'm constructing and living my life and what I want to display and what I want to portray and what I want to convey,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And how do I want that to come across, Um, when we talk about, the growth and expansion aspect of it, where previously I may have found myself in situations where, whether it's not only, maybe workspaces, environments, friendships, relationships that um, prior I may have allowed myself to continue to be in because of some sense of obligation or loyalty or commitment, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to show up or show face or be a truly genuine to my word,
Mm.
um, and not maybe getting that back. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the sense of just sticking it out and very one-sided and so areas that I've grown is learning to value and honor myself in that,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And and the way the universe has shown up for me is I am surrounded by supportive, loving, genuine friends and people in my life now.
Yeah. Oh, most
You
definitely. That's
know,
the way the universe provides. 100%, especially if you're in alignment with what you're doing. Totally. Because you're
dude.
authentic. Yeah, there's an authenticity that radiates off, and then everything else just aligns within that. Totally. Totally. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's meeting two people that connect to the genuine core of what I want to represent, what I want to present,
Mm.
the way I want to live my life. And it's
Yeah.
now that I've connected back to her, it's
Mm.
like those people and those things are connecting back to me.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, everything loops back around because it's like she's in alignment now, you know. You're in alignment now, so all those things can come in that have been like waiting. They've been waiting in like the periphery, right, to come in totally. And it's feeling like, you said that kid that was in the skate park and just happened to, say about the photography with the band. It's like, what are those pivotal moments in our life that we can be like, my life is so different because I decided to do that one thing, and sometimes we don't know when that moment is going to be, but it's like, I don't know if there's a way that we can feel into knowing that somehow within the moment. There's like a sense of, I feel like there is. I feel like there's a way to get to that space. And maybe you don't know it in that moment, like where you need to be. But once you are where you need to be and the things start happening, you're like, this is
Mm,
this is it. This is flowing. This is a pivotal moment where my life is going to really change and can feed into that more, right? Whereas just being
mm.
like blinkers on and in a daze and in your ego and not paying attention to shit around you, it's like if I'm paying attention to what's happening around me rather than, yeah, being out of focus. Like that's being out of focus or being in focus in our life. We're all walking around being out of focus, then we don't notice all those things that could be those opportunities, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's just allowing, just simply allowing
Yeah.
yourself to be there in the sense of, you know, and I shared this young man's story, obviously not my story to tell as far as, the depth or where he had to go or where he had to grow to be there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was there. He was just doing his thing. He was truly just doing genuine out skating, with his cameras, doing some film, doing his art thing. And what do
Mm,
you know? You
yeah.
know?
Right place,
And
right time. But it's like you say that, but then there's all this pre-work alignment that has had to happen for it to be the right place at the right time. If you had decided to do other shit leading up to that, then that might not have happened, you know, that cross section of
Yeah.
people, and yeah, that crossroads of people meeting at the right time, you know, for that to flow. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, you mentioned a lot about closing loops, right? And that's been ringing through a lot. And then, we've got the Ouroboros and, that whole significance. And so I'm processing this, right? It must have been in my subconscious
Mm,
where now it's showing up in the form of art of this young man that, full circle experience to me. The first punk rock show I had ever went to as a kid.
mm,
We're talking 96, 1996, right? And so I'm back checking out the same group.
mm,
And I'm like, it threw me right back to that moment. And I'm like, this is fucking rad, dude. They still sound great. It's even better. I'm experiencing live music. And so, we shared this conversation. And so he had shared with me, he's like, you know what? He's like, negativity is really draining, in every sense, he shares with me.
yeah,
Mentally, spiritually, it's just very draining. And I'm like, and positivity is contagious.
yeah, for sure. And it
Yeah.
charging, has a charge to it that is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like we just shared a moment where, and it happened. I met three different people that night where we just shared those moments with each other. And,
Mm,
it was just a moment of staring at each other and gleaming love for what we
mm,
recognized within each other in that moment.
it's so cool.
And and I was just like,
You
man, fuck yeah,
actually get a
like,
punk gig, like that's awesome. Fuck yeah.
oh, fucking rad. Yeah, dude. I'm stoked. And so it's kind of been those things. And um letting go so we can grow, and expanding the heart and the mind, and letting go of what's not mine,
Mm, mm,
you
mm.
know
Yeah,
what's not mine, what's not meant to be in my space, and in my orb of my reality.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Stepping into that emperor energy, right, and
Mm.
taking control of what I want to see and what I'm painting on this canvas in my mind.
Being discerning, right? It's like discerning and cleansing and allowing those things to shed away without resentment or bitterness, or, you know, and we may feel those in the moment for a bit, but it's like, okay, recognizing it and cleansing it, letting it go, purging it, and not holding on to that. As much as humanly possible, we're still all human, right? It's like, what's coming up now? How can I let go of that? What's shedding now? What aspect of things? Yeah, and it is that closing of the loops, you know, and there's constantly loops that are open and closed, and noticing, you know, where our energy is being leaked, and, you know, what is an energy leak, and where's our attention constantly going to the pile of clothes on the floor at the moment. For me, you know, like, what is
Yeah, yeah,
what are,
right.
yeah, what are those aspects, like conversations with people, replying to a text message from someone, are all those energy loops that we can close, so then we feel more spaciousness in our own energy, because we're like, not have these things pulling at us that we're like, I need to do constantly. Little gremlins nibbling away, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
we can close those.
Yeah, I think now too, Nicholas, what do I want to do, in the sense
Mm,
that having control and being disciplined as to what am I allowing my energy to go to,
yeah,
right?
focus and attention on.
You,
What am I
you know,
intentionally putting my focus and attention intention on? You know, like, why is that important to me, and how is that connecting to my growth? Totally, and why? Yeah, for sure, it's a very important aspect. And I don't know if we mentioned it on here yet, but on the tarot talks, we're talking about being, you know, a ping pong ball, just like bouncing off things that happen in life, or in the pinball machine, just bouncing off, you know, events that happen, and this is happening, and now this is happening, and just reverberating around, not actually having any control. And then the little flippers are like bouncing around and pinging you off into, you know, wherever. And it's yeah, not the way to be constantly pulled at things, and to be intentional with our energy, and with what we're creating, you know. And at the moment, I'm creating and putting on, in a couple of days, a guided
I was
meditation.
gonna say, talking about events,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, totally. And so, that creation energy around that. And, the date that we chose was the 25th. And, we didn't really notice a huge, the alignment of the numbers until after the date was chosen. And we actually chose an earlier date in May, and that wasn't available. And so the 25th was available. And then we're like, okay, the 25th. And then we looked at it, and it was the 25th of the 5th, 25, because of the year 2025. And so we're just like, wow, that's a really
What?
powerful number in terms of like, the mirroring of the number. And then it's an Atlantean activation that I've wanted to do. I've had a lot of different avenues of things that I kind of wanted to do. And one of them, was a generational healing with people. And then there was this Atlantean activation that I wanted to do, and kind of like, toying with which one. And decided, just because it pulled me more in terms of wanting to do the Atlantean activation. And it just so happens that this week is a massive week for Atlantean energy. And I'm just like, no idea that was such a big thing, that now all the YouTube videos are popping up, of course, because we're like creating stuff online with the word Atlantean in it. So now all these YouTube videos are popping up, and this chick's talking about all these shifts in consciousness this week to do with the, not necessarily the halls of Amenti, which is what I'm kind of creating mine around, which is similar to the Akashic records, but the halls of Amenti are holding the consciousness records from the earth plane, but all the way up to the 12th dimension. And so there's like all these access points to all of these different past
Oh,
life
wow.
and dimensional energies from galactic. So it's a very galactic journey. But this woman was talking about the earth grid and the consciousness of the earth grid, and that the shifts that are available at the moment for bringing our own consciousness down into our heart, so that the earth grid can resonate at a higher frequency, so we can like move more into these shifts as a collective, rather than just being like me, I'm doing. It's like, how can we collectively shift the frequency of the earth? And with anything, it's like there's a nexus point or a tipping point with like the availability of whatever is out there for us, whether consciously it's like I raise my frequency to be have more money available to come into me, but is this nexus point of like creating this new frequency on the earth, so that there's more availability for like galactics to come down, and for more help to come in, for more people who are open and want to connect into that alleviated grid of energy that can come down. And
Wow.
we can like really shift the shit that's happening on the planet at the moment. And this
Yeah.
is a really pivotal year for completion, being a 9 year, but it's also a pivotal year for our own transformation. So if we can like go in and look at the hard shit and just fucking get rid of it, man. Just get rid of it, get rid of all of that low density shit. Then there's the availability to really like catapult ourselves like into a newer kind of vibrational resonance of what we want to attract into our lives. So those
For
synchronicities
sure.
talking about that kid had is like, oh, right day, right time, perfect timing. Everything was, it's like, well, every day is like that. Every day is perfect timing. Every day there's perfect alignments. Like, what if it's just not, right day, right time? It's like, what if every day is the right day and the right time for things to keep happening for us? So,
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, we kind of like put that event together and chose the dates and chose what we were doing without realizing that it's like this big thing that we're like actually like tapping in to help hold that, and then learning that after the fact, So
What?
the main 2 days are like the 23rd and the 24th, and then our event is on the 25th. And so it's like that energy just flows directly
It
into
just
like
keeps
this
going through. Yeah.
totally. So this woman's going to Egypt, and cultivating all these grid
What?
frequencies to shift there. And I'm just like, how the fuck well, you
Had
just
a lot of Egyptian stuff coming through these
know
last weeks.
know, and yeah, yeah, totally. I can see your ancient Egypt behind you, and then you've got your Ankon there as well, and
I've I've had these hanging on my nightstand, and I picked them up a week ago, and I'm like, ooh, I just feel it
mm,
was like a connection. And
mm,
then tonight I'm like, you need to connect to this. And so I'm clearing my altar, and I have another ankh and some other things there.
mm,
And so it's definitely showing up. But
yeah,
that's amazing. So you mean to tell me this venue you're doing is an Atlantean activation?
yeah, 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 on Sunday.
Yeah, so and this is local where you're at, right?
Yeah, this is
You'll
an
be doing
in-person
that this
thing. Yeah, in person. Yeah. So my friend is Bianca. She has a whole lot of sound she does. So she's got the healing Tibetan bowls, crystal pyramids,
beautiful.
rain stick, all sorts of aspects that will
Oh yeah, shit yeah.
support and cultivate that journey through. So yeah, we'll be going up into the outer realms and into the halls of Amenti and meeting Atlantean priests and priestesses, however they appear. But you know that I connect in with, Thoth energy and have done for quite some time. So you're like, oh, how did we magically, decide that it was going to be this day and this time? And it's like, wow, that guiding energy is what I'm constantly connecting into. And then Anubis is one of the guides as well. And I connect into Anubis a lot. And I've got a little toy. He's just up on, I can see him from here, but it's going to be awkward to bring him down for you. But I've got this really connection with Anubis. And he's another one that
Yeah.
really ushers in that halls of the Menti connection energy. So yeah, it's really going to be freaking powerful, man. And even practicing today, like I could feel the activations kind of dropping in for me and stuff. And I've started to do some
Wow.
light language and do all the weird shit. So that's starting to come through as well for me. So it's a lot of fun.
I'm just blown away. That is beautiful. And so this facility that you're holding this at, Nicola, is there still room, or how do people sign
Yeah.
up for this? Or
Yeah, we can I'll drop the link below. So yeah, the tickets are still available and yeah, it's all yeah, going to be in Wellington Central. It's a spot called Thistle Hall. And yeah, the address for it actually had a really huge significance for my friend as well. Like the numerology of the address had a huge significance for her as well. So she, just like all of this energy pooling, and
wow,
it's a space
wow.
where there's been like lots of sound journeys. And, yeah, just like fucking so many alignments. It's not crazy. And I've done two sound journeys there with this guy. His name's Seeker. He's from the UK, but he's based in New Zealand. I don't know if he travels to the States or not. I'm pretty sure he would. He does global sound journeys. He travels a lot, so he could go to the
Yeah.
States, I'm sure. But anyway, yeah, just in the last 6 months, he's had two journeys there, and yeah, my friend and I attended both of them, and I just had just like massive, massive like clearings and initiations and beautiful visualizations coming in to the point where I'm explaining it to one of my other friends who was at the journey, and she was like, did you take mushrooms or anything beforehand? Like those visualizations are intense. And I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
this is just what my brain did. So just, yeah, so I've experienced really powerful activations within that venue. So that venue holds like that capacity that it's transformed, me through aspects as well. So then to then hold an event there is going to be really next level as well. So yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Sign me up.
yeah,
That is that's beautiful, man. I mean, we're talking about growth and expansion, right?
yeah. This is
Um,
massive growth and expansion point. Huge, yeah.
oh, for sure. For sure. That's huge, Nicola.
Mm,
I mean, and to have your guides show up as well,
mm,
and all the significance and the synchronicities of all of that.
mm,
That
mm,
is we're talking about affirmations that we receive. That's
Yeah,
that's beautiful, man.
it's huge.
Um, we must be doing something right, right?
Yeah, I think it's just trusting, the intuition or whatever ideas you have or whatever pulls you the most, whatever sparks the most interest is like following that. It's not necessarily about hearing my guides tell me, you need to do a halls of a mentee on this date. It's just like whatever just flows naturally, and it's just happened to align in that way. And maybe eventually it will come through in that way where you do hear that. And I know some people do get messages in that way, but it hasn't been this instance. It's just a happenstance that is like, of course that is the alignment. And it's when these things happen, it's like you can't make that shit up, like we keep saying. But it's also like to like not be overly surprised either. It's like, of course that is
Yeah.
the day that we chose. Of course that is the week that we chose that has this massive activation. Of course that we are in alignment for that and holding that. And you know what the really trippy thing is with the halls of Amenti and the connecting in with this energy is I've watched a couple of things online, and the one thing that I really connected into online that I was like, oh, this is really potent, and this is going to help me shift and change things, and just expand into whatever. And he was talking about the halls of Amenti, and he was outdoors, he was in the UK, and he talked about there was a storm on the horizon. And then this storm just came in and just rained, and the rain went in the microphone, so you couldn't even hear him talking. Like it was all quite muffled. You could hear bits of it, you can make it out, but it was like there was almost like this layer of like, not yet. Maybe it's not quite, humanity's
Yeah.
not quite ready for this yet. Um, and then I did a practice run through in one of the online groups that I'm in. And I had the musical set up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to guide this journey for you guys. Just give me feedback. Let me know what you think, whatever. And I hadn't cued the music properly. So when you don't cue the music properly on Zoom, when you speak and the music comes through, it glitches out. So you kind of hear every second word that you're saying because they're not, the sound is not overlapping.
Ah,
And so no one said, oh, your sound's really weird. Everyone just thought it was, oh, it must be my connection. Everyone was like, oh, it must be my connection. But it was actually my thing that I needed to do properly. So, but in the end, like I listened to it back, and they all had massive, shifts. Some of them had huge shifts and a big portal opening in their heart, and just lots of, tears and stuff. So there was a lot of shifts happening, even though only half of what I was saying was coming through. But that's still like that, like it was still being shielded a little bit, like not everything was coming through. So the fact that that's like two things that were like kind of buffered, and it's like maybe humanity's not ready for the full extent of that yet. So yeah, and it was just when I listened to it back, it's like, well, if I only said half of what if they only heard, portions of what I was saying and they still had that big a shift, then I don't need to say as much to get people into that space, like less
mm,
is more sometimes. So yeah, it's just an interesting awareness about, yeah, maybe the level of being ready to receive those codes yet is like there's a veil, it felt like, within that's softening, but it's still there. There was still distortion, the same as the rain over his microphone was distorting the words coming through. It was the same thing on my thing with the word, and I was like, it's an interesting parallel that there's like this, yeah, this fade of like, not just gentle, just ease into it, just
wow.
crazy, eh?
Yeah. I mean, amazing. not unbelievable, totally believable in the
Mm.
sense of
Yeah.
it's mind blowing,
Mm.
allowing and receiving so we
Mm.
can grow and expand,
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Totally.
you
Yeah.
know. I think it's kind of like I'm looking at this door behind me and I have it open just a little bit.
Mm.
So my doggy's been coming in and out tonight.
Mm.
Um, but it's the door is left open, right? And it's should we choose to walk through it,
Yeah. That's it.
you
Yeah.
know?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
What am I leaving the door open to, or what am I closing doors to?
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, um,
Yeah.
letting go so we can grow. And I think too, it's having the courage to step forward and show up so
Mm.
we can grow up. You
Yeah.
know, I think in the instance of when I look at the journey thus far and letting go of those things that now looking at it were truly just holding me back, are
Mm.
not allowing me to be the person I'm meant to be here and grow into, you know, what I am to do, you
Mm.
know,
Mm.
allowing myself to shed that old skin so we can transform and
Mm.
inspire and stoke the fires within our hearts, you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
I I've I'm thankful to have the opportunity to now see these things, whether it's a different light or maybe because of the experiences we've had to
Mm.
lead us here, where we can move through things just a little bit faster, or
Mm.
maybe they don't impact us in such a way where I'm feeling, heartbroken or let down, or those feelings of betrayal or resentment and all those things that are now in the past, you
Mm.
know, um, letting go of the past so we can move forward.
Mm. Mm.
And that too has really been coming up a lot. So now that you share this with me, as far
Mm.
as the reflection and the time and the divine timing and all the significance of what's going on in that realm, um, it makes sense. And
Mm.
so now I'm taken back to wanting to allow,
Mm.
right? Allow these things to come through and move through us so we can get to that next level.
Mm. 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 Yeah, big time. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And to recognizing those reminders as they come about.
Mm.
Um, a lot of to connecting into what I'm hearing a lot is our stewardship, and our
Mm.
stewardship for me, like when I think about my passion projects and conservation and preservation and the earth and what needs to be unearthed.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Mm.
grabbed it. I put on my unearthed shirt, right? And so
Yeah.
speaking of, and it's so significant. You were showing me those photos earlier, and that whole
Mm.
conscious aspect of taking care of our earth and a lot of the transmissions that are happening right now and transformation and everything that Mama Gaia is experiencing. And right now where I'm at, it's wildfire season, so there's a couple of
Mm.
wildfires going on around me where people are having to be evacuated from their homes.
Oh,
um, yeah, and so we've been moving through the element of fire with
yeah.
the emperor and different things. So it's been showing up in different ways.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so that's been really interesting, you
Yeah.
know. But to paying attention to those little things, right? Paying attention to those synchronicities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've often spoke of being in that space where we can recognize them when they're
Mm.
happening,
Mm. Mm. Yeah. What's happening
you
around
know.
you when you see something? Like, what thought are you having when when the thing comes on? Um, yeah, and noticing that. What feeling are you having when things come up? Totally, and that's pointing to
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, the whole Egyptian stuff, and I've had these books, and um, I know we should probably be wrapping it up here because we're probably a couple hours in. I know we like to talk, but so I've been cleaning out stuff and back in my space and getting to the bottom of the spin. And so I have these cards from decks laid out, and I really, I don't, maybe I'll just share with you, but
Mm.
it's very interesting what has come up, and this is why I'm just smiling from ear to ear, because it's like, okay, all right, I'm high on life, and I've often been asked that. I'm like, dude, man, like I've been like straight edge, like fucking, I am just high on what the universe is providing for me. I'm just picking up the paintbrush, right, and what I want to see. And
Yeah.
so realizing that we are the authors of our book, right?
Mm.
And what am I putting back in those records, right? What am I pulling out? So what can I create in that new chapter of this life?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
And when you talk about the space of your name in the clay, those reminders perhaps from a younger Nicola,
Yeah.
you know,
Past life.
those reminders that were given,
Yeah,
right? I mean, you
definitely.
can't make that shit up. I mean, I'd be saying that you just can't.
Yeah. And you know what also it came through in a meditation a while back,
Fucking awesome, man.
and it was so trippy. Is what came through in a meditation ages ago was that, and then I heard it, this woman talking about it again, and I was like, yes, I've had that come through, that feeling. So we are a version of, we are we are the highest self of another version of ourself, or of another iteration of ourself in a timeline. So when we're having those thoughts or berating or thinking about, past self or this self, or, doubting a future version of ourselves, we are actually projecting that thought into the consciousness of that aspect of ourselves. So that
Oh, wow.
that is the thought that you're hearing. Yeah, it's really hard to explain. So say
So
and
are you saying like,
so
go
say in
ahead.
this so say in this now moment, and you're sitting there and you're hearing positive reinforcement, about what you're doing, coming through. You're thinking, beautifully about stuff, and stuff's just dropping in. That's potentially coming from your future self, who is like, fuck yeah, I'm so pleased with myself. Back in that, I did that, and that was really good. That year that I did that, and all those things came true, and da da da. So that energy is filtering down to you just before you do all those things to reinforce it. That is a good timeline to go on. And then the same concept, but if you're berating your past self for something that you've done, that you're like, oh, I'm so much shame and guilt, and I feel gross about myself because I did those things, you're actually projecting those thoughts. Because if time is not linear, but time is collapsed on itself and everything's all happening at once, then you're actually projecting those thoughts to yourself in that moment. And so then you're creating that capacity for more negativity to spiral in that version of timeline, in that past version of yourself. Is that hitting? Am I explaining?
Yes.
Am I?
Yeah. No.
So
I
the
mean,
I think yeah, you go. I
yeah. So what I'm hearing, Nicola, this is just fucking mind blowing shit. Because
Yeah,
I
it
was having this conversation with myself the other day.
is. Okay.
Where no, tell me. So it's like, yeah, I talk to myself all the fucking time.
Same. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. But I recognize, and so we're talking about recognizing stuff a lot sooner, as to where, you find yourself feeling good and you're like, oh, this is too good, it can't be so. Or, speaking to things in a we'll just say negative manner,
Yeah.
right? So in essence, this Sophia right now is feeling good because I'm having a positive experience. Then I
Mm.
go back to something that's shameful or doubtful. So now that self is projecting
Yeah.
those feelings and emotions
Mm.
onto this body in this time frame now,
Yeah, totally. But also
right?
back to the time where it happened as well. Because if you're berating yourself for something that happened like 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
then
I've done that. Shit, yeah.
then
Fuck
you're
yeah.
also projecting that and you're hearing that as negative self-talk in that timeline. So that negative self-talk,
Wow.
so if you're sitting here now and you're deciding to do this or that, and you've got negative self-talk that's coming in about something, that's coming in from, like a high, like a,
Been there, done that. Yeah.
totally.
I shouldn't have done that. I made a fucking mistake. Why did I do that? Why did I say that?
Yeah,
Right?
totally, totally,
And then
totally.
maybe that may trigger something. Well, shit, I did that like when I was like 15. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
Now I start thinking about that 15-year-old self, right?
Totally. So I think I've talked about this on Witchy Talk before, I can't remember, but when we clear those negative projections to our past self, then
Mm.
we are essentially stopping that berating of self, and so those negative timelines collapse and they can't exist anymore. And so that's when your current timeline becomes more elevated or in more alignment, or more synchronicities happen, or just, you just have harmony or
Mm.
joy, or your life is smooth sailing or whatever, because you're not constantly berating your past self, and that actually feeds into your current timeline. And so because that's become you, right? So it's like this horrible cycle. So you are your higher self. Yeah. But the way she was speaking it was your higher self with other people, and I haven't wrapped my head around that yet, in other dimensions.
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
Perhaps that's further to be expanded on in our
Mm,
next witchy talk,
yeah,
right? Stepping into our highest self,
yeah, totally. You are.
meaning
Mm,
if I am my highest self, that means I have the potential to activate and step into my highest, bestest self good, everything that has to offer, like to be fucking on top of that mountain right now.
yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So then we talk back to some of the other services that you have offered and I've experienced with you. We've got to connect as far as healing those past timelines,
Mm,
right?
yeah, totally.
So in essence, if I'm hearing this right, Nicola, if I'm feeding that prior self a bunch of bullshit,
Mm,
then that prior Sophie ain't gonna heal
yeah,
because now she's back in shame, she's back in guilt. Woe is me, you've done fucked up, and I'm going back there.
yeah.
So
So
if she can't heal,
her timeline is just constantly in a negative trajectory, totally. So if you can go back and heal that, then her timeline is elevated, and then that it's like a ripple effect, and then like,
yeah,
yeah, totally, totally.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because if I can go back to the 15, then I can go back to the 16, 17, or flash forward to where I'm at now.
yeah,
So
totally.
if I don't heal that previous version of myself, then in essence, that is going to have some link or that loop is open
Yeah,
to feed the bullshit to where I'm at now.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's it.
But
Totally.
I'm already my highest self. I can already access this and say, "Fuck you, bullshit. I ain't there no more."
Yeah,
Right?
you're the conduit for it. You're the conduit, because if you're doing the work now, then the version of yourself that is operating and rippling out from the work that you're doing now, and all of this awareness that we're having, then they're on a fucking amazing timeline, right? So you have access to pull that in and through you, and then love, and then just radiate love and forgiveness and acceptance on your like 15-year-old self, and then elevate her timeline to be like, fuck yeah, you can do it, and be that voice in her head that's fuck yeah, you can do it, not you're a fucking piece of shit, like fucking switch it up, and then that confidence just like ripples through, so yeah.
Oh
It's quite
wow,
abstract to
wow,
think into, but it once you start shifting the negative shit from your past, and you're like, yeah, I just feel better, and I don't have those berating thoughts in my current timeline anymore. It's like, yeah, because you stop berating that version of yourself. And so that berating energy isn't perpetuating anymore. So you're getting into the state of like just loving yourself in the present moment, because you've loved all those other versions of yourself as well. So you can like, it's like boom, boom, boom. So that's
wow.
what as and then when people are like, oh, it's such hard work, I don't want to go back to those horrible things, it's like, well, what thing isn't the most horrible that you can go back and do, and just shift that thing that isn't the most horrible, start with that, don't go back to the fucking hardest thing to shift first, Just
Ah,
alleviate the pressure around it at first, and then maneuver, into it. And then you have the more capacity, because then you understand what the process is. And then when you get to that really hard thing, you're like, have even more compassion for the fact that you did that thing, or that thing happened to you, or that's that, and then you understand
wow.
why that happened for you, not to you. Why did that, even if it's horrible, it's a hard place to get to with some horrible things
Oh, I love that.
to us. Yeah.
Why did that happen for you,
Yeah.
not to you?
Yeah.
Wow, I mean that's deep in the sense of so when I started my spiritual healing and I went straight away for the fucking hard shit. Like I'm
Mm,
gonna get to the root of it. And so then that
mm,
was a cycle that continued for about 12 years of constantly going back to that open loop of cycle because I was fucking going in deep for the heavy shit.
yeah.
So in essence, I had to unearth what was around it
Yeah.
and loosen up some of that shit so I can get to the root ball, right?
Yeah.
And get it out of that fucking pot
Yeah.
that it was stiffened in so it could extend its roots out and fucking grow.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I get what you're saying, man.
But if
Wow.
you want to go into the hardship first, like, then that's your mentality. Then, go for it. If people are like, "Fuck yeah, I'm ready. I just want to look at it. I want to clear that," and then all the other stuff will just be like, and just go away
In
with it.
essence.
But if you can't,
Yeah.
if it's a really big thing, if it's got a lot of moving things, so if it's a repetitive thing that's happened over your life, with things that have, compacted down onto this horrible thing that's happened to you, like, that's
Sure.
can be hard to go into straight away. So there's just different ways for different people to process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different approaches. And I think for me personally, I'm a bit of a masochist. So
Mm.
it totally makes sense as to why I want to fucking go to the hard, have you give it to me type shit, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But perhaps it could have been in a shorter period of time,
Mm.
perhaps I could have relieved it in a shorter period of time. But now looking at it, muddling through that, working through that stuff, it seems that that timeline has sped up in the instance, like these instances I spoke about earlier, where, misconnections or it's just not working, it's just not flowing, where I recognize it a lot faster or the universe is just not aligning with where I'm at and the vibration of mine. It's like, nope, we're going to cut that. Nope, not working.
Yeah.
And so
Really.
perhaps looking back at that 15-year-old self, some of those instances drug on for quite a period of time.
Yeah.
Now, not the case,
Yeah.
right?
Totally. Because there's more awareness around, yeah, self-preservation.
Yeah.
And, we're not like, just trying to be like, save face or whatever because we've made a wrong decision. It's like, no, fuck it. It's just not in alignment anymore, you know.
Yeah. And being okay with that. I think
Yeah.
too, being okay with that, not hanging on, not allowing shit to drag out.
Mm.
I can see where I've grown, where I'm kind of like congratulating myself, like before maybe things would have been different. But it's like, oh wow, I've graduated from that in the sense of I can recognize it and I'm okay with it.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
I'm okay with it now. Like
Yeah.
it's not affecting me that way anymore. Sorry, it's just not. Like,
Yeah.
like I wish you
Yeah.
will, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So I'm not making an issue out of it. Why are you making an issue out of it? I'm okay. I'm perfectly happy and I've moved on to where I need to be.
Yeah, totally. There's not that, I kind of describe the feeling like there's not that downward pull on your heart in the back. Like it's like a kind of like almost like a nauseating feeling when you're just like stuck in that repetitive cycle of like
Mm.
guilt, shame, fucking resentment, anger, bleh,
Oh, for sure.
that heavy pulling of the back of your heart, like down into like
It drags you down.
full of like fucking bitterness. It's like when you can like let that go, there's more of like a up and out of the front of your heart. So it's like a pull down in the back or a pull up, and it's like when you can like change, when you've let go of enough that you feel that change in motion, then the other shit just kind of starts to drop in and fall away, and the aha moments kind of like peace and then you're, yeah, you kind of understand the processes, and yeah. And you've unearthed it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, and I say that, and I think it's tuning in with yourself, right? In the sense
Yeah.
of, I'm going to allow myself to go there, but knowing what I can truly capacitate, like you say, I say that kind of jokingly. I'm a masochist in the sense of, like, I had to go there. I had to go to those levels to really get below the surface. Like, I knew I had to face it. I was tired of running the same cycle over and over, so it was like, that's that dark, scary trail I don't want to go through. I'm going into the void. Where's this going to take me? Um, but that's a wonderful thing too about the community is being aware of who we are and the services you offer, so you can be that support for somebody else. You can be that mentor for somebody else, and have that loving support too, because we've allowed ourselves to grow this way, and yeah, we've done a lot of the heavy work to be here to be able to facilitate that,
Mm.
right?
Oh,
Like,
definitely, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's fucking beautiful, and so from our experiences,
Mm.
and that takes real courage to step into that, and
Mm.
on the flip note, um knowing that now we're in a position where you can support somebody and help them, and maybe just give a little bit of illumination to that dark path,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know um
almost
for
definitely.
sure. And to recognizing, by making those shifts and allowing you to unearth and make those shifts, for lack of better terms, in the sense of, now what is being attracted back into my sphere is good vibrations, positive people, supportive people, uplifting people, loving people, all at that same vibration, right? So we can carry that resonance as found,
Mm.
um, and that is beautiful,
Mm.
because what are you mirroring back to you? What vibration are you carrying, and what is being projected back to you is what you're putting out there. So
Yeah.
um, it's a different vibration.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and I think, for me, expansion, growth and expansion has been a full circle thing for me at many levels, at all different aspects, the little things, the big things, and I think that's fucking cool as shit. Yeah, I got to see my friend Julia, and it's been a while. Actually,
Yes.
it takes me right back to that punk rock show, 1996, when I met her,
Oh,
and
welcome.
it's been since then we've connected. And so she
Oh,
shows up today. So
this
we
is,
talk about full
yeah.
circle events,
Yeah.
totally.
Time.
And when I met her, I was going through a stage where I was kind of an outcast,
Mm.
and I didn't really have a friend circle. I wasn't very well accepted by the community.
Mm.
And she just straight up scooped me up and was like, "You're my friend. Like, I'm gonna accept you." And so
Oh,
full circle, and now having that come back to me and having that support has been fucking awesome.
mm.
Um, just a lot of cool shit. I mean, little shit, big stuff, things lining up. I got the chance to meet the band Unearth. I've been following them for many fucking years, and I've been,
Okay.
wow, just going out checking it out, and not only meeting them but actually giving a big hug and meeting who I come to find is their tour manager and does all their stuff. And we connected, and they're like, "Hey, Soph, why don't you come check out our shows?" Shit has lined up where I just so happened to be like in Las Vegas, plans for Texas, and all this. So I got to see like three of my most loved bands fucking playing.
Okay.
Like, hey, dude, like, all I'm literally same time, same place. Like, I'm fucking there. Um,
That's bizarre.
and dude,
Fuck, man.
and meet them. So we're talking about, we flash forward back to then. So healing those spaces. So now I'm meeting it again, but in
Mm.
a different way and from a healed place,
Yeah.
you
Beautiful.
know, in solid peace of mind,
Mm.
and sharing those moments, sharing the moment with the young man was just like, hey, we both share a love for the same thing. And so connecting and recognizing the growth within each other to get to that space and saying,
Mm.
hey man, fucking right on,
Mm. Mm.
um, that's been really beautiful. Seeing my friends, seeing you and your work, evolve and grow. Meeting really beautiful artists over the last few months that have been so fucking awe-inspiring to see and hear their stories and see how it's grown. And I think those instances are there for us to grab, right? And there for us to see if we choose to see it,
Yeah.
if we choose to believe it. We are our highest self, right? I'm right here. But
Mm,
what am I allowing myself to see, and what am
mm,
I allowing myself to receive? And
mm.
so,
Yeah.
that's what I'm stepping into, man. And it's been fucking wild, Nicola. It's been quite a fucking ride. I mean, you talk about fucking going to those metal shows and shit, and what do you find, dude? I've had
Yeah.
a pretty wild one, and it's just blown my fucking mind. I mean,
Mm,
people I've admired, and people that I've come to admire, and you know, I I think if we allow ourselves to shed what's not serving us
mm,
and really step into what we want to bring into our scope and feed that, it
mm,
it does line up. I don't know that you can prepare yourself for those things lining up other than just being yourself and doing it,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
So,
showing up.
yeah. Being
I
in alignment with yourself, like what yeah, what you enjoy. That's how everything lines up. Like follow your
that's
joy.
that's that's the fucking key, dude. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Oh my gosh,
Follow
man. Fuck,
your
man.
bliss. Yeah. I can't remember who
Yeah,
said
so
it.
I'm
It's not my saying, it's someone else's. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who said it, but someone did.
yeah. Yeah, I'm into the bats and the birds, and
Mm,
oh dude, I know we're wrapping it up here, but I'm gonna share with you
mm,
these beautiful cards that have come through. It's it's fucking crazy, man. It's
yeah.
mind-blowing shit. Let me see if I can flip this around. But yeah, coming along, dude. I'm tapping into the birds and the bats, and
Yes.
um
Mm-mm.
I know I can flip this around some way. So I'll share this with our Witchy Talk crew. All right.
Oh yeah, cool.
So I started looking for our cards tonight for our tarot talk, right? And so I said, we're at
Oh,
the
you've
full
covered the
on,
camera. You've covered the
and
camera.
if you guys haven't checked it out, you got to check out our tarot talks. But I had some cards come through,
Mm.
and so let me see if I can.
Oh, be real. Yeah, nice. Oh wow. Cute. Nice.
Lots of cat energy coming in.
Oh yeah, courage. Nice. Mm.
Strength and fierceness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are all different decks because
Mm.
I was like I think my intent was to sort through them
Yeah.
to pull out like some of the tarot cards.
Oh,
But these
that's
were all
cool.
what was facing up.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Those are very similar. Yeah. Reveal what needs.
Reveal what needs to be seen.
Mm-mm. Yeah, those aspects that need to be let go of. Hey, what's the shedding away that needs to happen? Yeah, cool.
Where you are right now is where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Don't compare yourself to others. That only adds pressure. Take each day as it comes and for what it is. You are a better person than what you were yesterday. Growth isn't easy, but you've got this.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Really nice.
Yeah, pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. Adjustment. Oh
Looking
wow, this is
back,
amazing. Yeah.
moving forward.
Mm-mm-mm. Cool.
Can't make this shit up, dude. I am just not
Great.
kidding. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Mm-mm-mm. Oh wow, that's so similar to the other one. Holy shit. The owl with the lady with the owl. It's exactly the same.
It looks kind of like an eagle.
Yeah, but
Clarity, planning, releasing, illusion.
your last the last card with the owl, it looks this it's pretty much
Oh
the
my
same.
gosh.
It's the same
Okay.
format, like with her in the head, you know, right at her head and looking forward. Wow. And then the other one with
Oh
the,
wow, Nicola, I didn't even wow.
yeah, look at
I'm
that.
like, I'm just gonna set these up and see if
Like the
there's any
bird on the head.
significance
Far out.
as to what we're talking about here.
So
Wow,
what's
wow,
that?
wow. Okay.
Adjustment, and then what's the other one? Adjustment, and then
Let's
clarity.
see.
Oh yeah, adjustment and then clarity. Yeah. So yeah, look at that. So looking back to move forward. So if you look back with clarity, then you can move forward. Yeah, that's cool. Look at those two. They go together. Fuck yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
We're talking about Atlantean energy.
Oh,
I'm just in awe.
water, water blessings. Beautiful. Yeah, the water frequency, big vibrations. Amazing.
Deep connections,
Mm.
opening heart. Yeah, 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 yeah. What are we finding? I have this Egyptian deck, and all these cards were together.
Mm.
So you had talked about Isis. Did I hear you
Oh,
speak of Isis earlier?
yeah, we were talking about that before we got on. Yeah, that's the some of the energy supporting the, you know, the journey. Definitely. That's a beautiful card too. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty wild.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm
Thanks.
reminded, man, beauty is to be found.
Yeah.
Fear not, we've got this.
The dragon's coming in. Cool. All good. Well, we should wrap
Yeah, heck
up
yeah.
our Witchy Talk episode. This has been epic. I love this. This last hour has been really potent. The whole lot has been great. So yeah, feeling into that growth and expansion, receiving and allowing that balance, unearthing those aspects of self that are ready to be released, transformed. How can we bring ourselves into more alignment? Get rid of that projecting negative out and just be in the moment, you know, not have that chaos mind, but have that clear, grounded, focused mind. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, totally resonating too with the Emperor.
Mm,
Focus, clarity, structure, stability. Bringing
planning.
a lot of that energy in as well.
Yeah. Amazing. This has been so good, Sophia. Thank you for jumping on again. We've come to a pivotal moment. The ninth episode is complete. With the 10, we start a new chapter. That's awesome. A new phase, you know, starting that new chunk of episodes that will come after. So it's yeah, awesome. Awesome, awesome.
Sure. Yeah,
Cool.
most definitely.
Yeah. From the
Yeah, we'll stay warm and we'll try to stay cool over here and
yeah.
you know, stepping into that elemental soul wisdom and connecting with ourselves that we can continue to expand our hearts and our minds and
Mm,
in there beauty we shall find and stepping into the divine and moving forward.
amazing. Thank you. All right. From the NZ to the AZ.
So much love.
Cool.
Peace.
Peace out. Bye.
Bye.